Good afternoon. Lately, there's been a lot of talk, especially about town hall meetings. Everybody's coming out with the racist card. You're racist this, racist that, and it's getting to a point where it's getting ridiculous. Honestly, everything is not racist, okay? And the only ones that are coming out with these accusations are the liberals and Democrats. That you don't hear conservatives saying racist this or you're racist that, okay? These are all a slave hand. They're trying to get your mind off of the real issues here. Okay? You also have individuals out there, blacks, Hispanics, that if they find out we're conservative or we have conservative leanings, right away we are traitors. We're not, we're betraying the group. The group here, ladies and gentlemen, is we're Americans. Okay? We fought hard for this title. Dr. Martin Luther King marched, demonstrated so that we be perceived as equals, treated as equals. And what have they done the last couple of years? Start using this race card. And not just in the last couple of years, it's been going on since the 70s. Okay? And the individuals that get accused of, you're against us, I heard that when I was in college in the early 70s, during the demonstration, you have the with us or, against us. What, I'm not allowed to think on my own? Aren't we allowed to think on our own? This ain't a mob mentality thing. We are individuals. Now, when you come out and accuse your friend of being against the group, the conservatives, how can you do that, especially after all the Democrats have done for us, or after all the things that the Republicans have done against us? Well, let me clue you in a couple of things about what they've done or what they haven't done for us. And we'll talk about both parties. Okay, the Republican Party in 1854 was formed. What was their purpose? The only reason they got together was for one specific reason: to abolish slavery. That was their whole goal when they were formed up. President Lincoln, first Republican president, he came out with the Emancipation Proclamation, which basically said all slaves in the Confederacies are free. And it wasn't until 1865 that they came out with the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery throughout the lands. Okay, in 1866, we had the Civil Rights Act of 1866. This was a Republican Congress. But one thing you need to know also, that right after the Civil Rights Act of 1866 came out, in response of that, the Democrats founded the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, they did. The Democrats did it, and they've admitted to it. You just got to look it up. The purpose for the KKK to them, or the word they were putting out, was to restore Democrat control in the southern states. But it was the Democrats that started the KKK. Remember that one when you hear that from these Democrats? They remind me of the KKK. No, they should be remembered because they were the ones that started it. Okay, in 1868, they came out with the 14th Amendment, which bestowed citizenship as a birthright to everybody born in the United States. Again, 100% Republicans ratified it. For that one, 0% Democrats ratified it. In 1870, the 15th Amendment, which was the Voting Rights Act. I know it's the same one that sounds familiar about 1965, 66. Well, for you that believe that it was the Democrats that gave us that law, no. All they were doing was putting something back in that they had taken out. And I'll explain what I mean by when they'd taken it out. Now, in 1870, by this time, there were 23 black members of Congress. Now, the 23, 13 of them had been slaves before they'd done away with slavery. And guess what? They were all Republicans. Back then, almost every single black was a Republican. 1871, we have what they call the Enforcement Act. It's also known as the Civil Rights Act of 1871. It's also known as the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, and it was intended to enforce the 14th Amendment. We have the Civil Rights Act of 1875, which was basically the last law passed by a biracial Congress in the 19th century. It was the Civil Rights Act of 1875. The next federal bill that was designed to protect civil rights wouldn't have come out till 1957 under the Eisenhower administration, a Republican. Now, between 1866 and 1875, the Republican Congress passes 19 civil rights laws. 19. Now, in 1876, the Democrats took control of the House. During the 1880s, the Democrats moved on the Southern Redemption Plan. The Southern Redemption Plan, their goals were specifically, one, to establish Jim Crow laws. The Democrats did that. To deprive blacks of civil rights. The Democrats wanted that. And to repeal laws against Klan violence. They didn't want their boys to be, incarcerated or put on charges. So they went after all that. That was their goal. In 1892, the Democrats gained control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. And right after that happened, what happened? They repealed all civil rights laws. The Democrats, when they took over in 1892, they went and repealed every single civil rights laws that was enacted prior to that point. The first Democrat, or the first black Democrat, voted into Congress would not show up till 1935, and that was a Northern Democrat. The first Southern black Democrat voted into Congress won't be till 1973. Yeah, they helped us out. Yeah, if you keep thinking that. Well, in the 60s, 65 and on, you got Lyndon Johnson's Great Society programs.